I'm a physician, and well, I'm going to tell you something most of us just won't say out loud. Look, if you're a director of nursing, a medical director, or an executive director running an assisted living or memory care community, you already know the realities of the floor. I mean, you literally live them every single day and every single night. But so often, the broader conversations we have in the clinical world or those panels we see at industry conferences, they tend to kind of gloss over some of the most stubborn, difficult realities of Alzheimer's care. We love to talk about progress, we talk about the future, but we rarely hit pause to speak with total, unfiltered honesty about the exact set of tools we actually have in our hands right now. So, today, we're going to have that honest conversation.
Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're looking at the pharmacology gap in memory care. Because to provide the absolute highest standard of care and dignity for our residents, we really have to look objectively at the timeline of Alzheimer's innovation and what it practically means for the human beings relying on us right this second.
21. I want you to just sit with that number for a second. 21 years. That is literally an entire generation. That's exactly how long it's been since the FDA approved a new class of drug for treating the cognitive symptoms of Alzheimer's. Just think about what that means in the context of your own career. Think about how many residents have moved into your communities, lived out their final years, and passed on during that time. We've been waiting and waiting for a fundamental shift in how we address the core cognitive decline associated with this disease.
Let's trace this timeline together. In 2004, Memantine was approved, a really vital tool, absolutely crucial. But then, we wait. 2013 arrives, nearly a decade later, and we are still waiting for that next major breakthrough in a new cognition drug class. We push all the way through to 2023. Year after year, dons and medical directors have had to manage incredibly complex disease progressions with a toolkit that fundamentally just hasn't expanded its cognitive classes in over 2 decades. We are doing the absolute best we can on the memory care floor, for sure, but we're doing it across a vast gap in pharmacological innovation.
And honestly, this gap becomes even more stark when we break down the specific daily symptoms our residents experience. 0. There is still 0 FDA-approved treatment specifically designed and approved for the psychosis that comes with Alzheimer's disease. When a resident experiences hallucinations or delusions directly tied to their AD, we as clinicians are forced to navigate that without a targeted, approved pharmacological tool built specifically for that exact issue. We manage it, of course we do. You manage it on the floor with incredible skill and compassion, but we're doing it without a specific drug approved for that purpose.
The gap just extends further. 0 approved treatment specifically for Alzheimer's-related depression, and this one lands really heavily. We know that the depression a resident experiences as their cognition changes is deeply intertwined with the disease process itself, yet when we look to the pharmacy for an FDA-approved intervention formulated specifically for AD-related depression, the answer is still none. Again, we're left to utilize broader tools, basically hoping they effectively translate to the highly specific neurological environment of an older adult with Alzheimer's.
And finally, 0 approved treatments for apathy. This brilliantly, and really tragically, illustrates a profound pain point. There is absolutely none. And apathy isn't just some clinical metric on a chart, it's the symptom that quietly steals a person from their family long before their body gives out. It's the symptom that empties the resident's day of joy, of engagement, of connection. When a family asks you why their loved one simply sits and stares, totally detached from community activities and the world around them, we have to face the hard reality that we have 0 approved pharmacological treatments to directly target that apathy.
Now, we absolutely must acknowledge the progress where it exists. In May 2023, we finally got one drug specifically for agitation associated with Alzheimer's dementia, brexpiprazole. And let me be super clear, that is a real step forward. It's a legitimate win for medicine, and it's a tool we're incredibly grateful to have, right alongside breakthroughs like the anti-amyloid monoclonals. But as any DON or medical director knows, agitation is just one symptom out of many. It's one piece of a vastly complex puzzle. So we celebrate the 2023 approval, but we can't pretend it's a comprehensive solution for the totality of the Alzheimer's experience on the memory care floor. So the crucial point here is understanding the limits of our current tools, especially when the sun goes down. Consider the number 4. 4 times a night. Think about the resident in your memory care community right now who wakes up 3, 4, or even 5 times a night. Think about the physical and emotional toll that takes on the resident, and frankly, the immense operational challenge it creates for your night shift staff who are just trying to maintain a calm, safe environment for everyone else.
When a director of nursing tells me that her memory care residents are still waking up 4 times a night, despite being on their prescribed medication, I'm not surprised, and honestly, no clinician should be. We shouldn't view this as a failure of the nursing staff, and we definitely shouldn't view it as the resident just being difficult. The honest clinical truth? The medication was never built for that. The meds we have available today were just never designed to specifically and comprehensively address the complex sleep-wake cycle disruptions inherent to Alzheimer's in a way that guarantees an uninterrupted night. They just weren't built for it.
Which brings us to the absolute most critical pivot in our clinical thinking. If the medications we have aren't built to solve every symptom, and if we're facing a decades-long gap in certain targeted treatments, what's the honest answer? We need non-pharmacologic options. But let's be absolutely crystal clear on the framing here. This is never, ever about finding a replacement for medicine. We aren't dealing in alternative medicine or any kind of anti-pharma rhetoric. We need non-pharmacologic options that act as a serious complement to medicine. We need interventions that work right alongside our clinical treatments, filling the gaps that pharmaceuticals currently just cannot reach.
So what must these serious complements actually look like? First off, they have to be options that residents will actually accept. An intervention is totally useless if the resident rejects it, gets agitated by it, or refuses to engage with it. Second, and perhaps most importantly for medical directors, these non-pharmacologic options must not add to the medication burden. We are caring for older adults who are often managing deeply complex polypharmacy. They're the population least able to carry the physical and metabolic burden of yet another pill, another side effect, another drug-drug interaction. We need complementary tools that actually relieve burden rather than add to it.
This is the work that requires our urgent clinical attention. We have to look honestly at the 21-year gaps, those triple zeros in symptom management, and the stark realities of the night shift. And we have to adapt. So I want to leave you with this question to really reflect on with your teams. What are you seeing on your floor right now? When the medications reach their limit, what non-pharmacologic options are you exploring as serious complements to care? If you're a DON, an executive director, or a medical director, thinking deeply about these exact challenges, I genuinely want you to have these conversations, because understanding the honest reality of our current tools is the very first step toward providing the dignified, comprehensive care our residents so deeply